Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's CJ. Welcome back to episode 4 of the JBJ 65-gallon reef build. And if you guys couldn't tell already, this is going to be all about flow, specifically related to the Gyre 330 and the new additional add-on, the ICV6 wireless controller module. But before we get too far, I want to say thank you to everyone that participated in the poll. Last video I asked your guys' opinion. Should I go with the MP10 quiet drive, the brand new Gyre 330s, or by popular demand, which I added on to a second poll, the AI Nero 5 pump. In every poll I had, whether it was on Instagram, on my channel comments, or on the video itself, had the Gyre winning. Close, but still ahead by far. So that's what I went with. So with this video, we're going to take a look at it and see what improvements they made, what things they could have changed and what things are the same. So let's get to it. Now, one important factor a lot of people don't consider is the thickness of your glass with these kind of pumps. So if you're going to go MP10 or Gyre or any other pump, make sure it can handle it. This one is rated for 10mm thick glass, which happens to be the same thickness of the JBJ 65. Now, when it comes to the controller, pretty straightforward. Be smart about it. You can put it anywhere you want. It has a little mounting bracket with it, but I wouldn't risk putting it over any kind of sump or tank or anything that can fall into water because it's not waterproof. Now, one thing I do want to mention, it is compatible with the 350 and the 330, and it has one power brick that can power both pumps, which is pretty cool. Be careful with the wiring. You got to make sure you don't put the power input on the wrong side or something if you only have one pump versus two. So make sure you read the instructions. And one thing I do want to mention, something neat is the ICV6, the module. It's actually USB. So it has a little adapter you can plug it to an outlet. But in my case, being able to plug it into the USB port on my power strip saves an outlet, saves headache, and definitely made my life a little easier because outlets are at a premium on this tank, as you guys can tell. As far as the wire management, man, it is, I tried my best to keep things nice and neat down here, but it is quickly turning into a wild jungle, to say the least. But I got it in here. As far as I can tell, it's as neat as possible. More importantly, it's accessible. All I have to do is open the cabinet door, reach in, pull the controller out, and make whatever changes I need. But keep in mind, I'm trying to keep this thing hands-free as possible. Take full advantage of that ICV6 wireless module and just use my phone. Now, I gotta admit, I'm pretty good with programming these gyres, twisting that dial, hitting a couple buttons. I can pretty much make it do what I want. But let's take a look at the module itself and see how user-friendly or unuser-friendly it is for anyone that was curious. So let me give you guys the quick down and dirty on how to connect the SYNA-G app. It's free. You can download it on Android or iPhone or whatever you have. But remember this, it's wireless. So I don't have that module in my tank because it's physically connected to the Gyre controller. You literally can put it anywhere within 30 feet, plug it into a wall outlet, sync it up, and you're good to go. One thing I do want to mention, this only took like 2 or 3 minutes tops. I'm telling you, it's super quick, but make sure you're on the right type of network. I want to make sure I mention this because anyone that's not technical, or if you're not paying attention, you're on a 5G network, you can't get it to sync, make sure you switch over to 2.4. You're going to lose speed. You're going to be on the same channel as other devices in your house. If you're a technical guy, you know what I mean, but this is the only way to make this work. Now, you can also do it without the wireless network in your house, but if you do it that way, you're going to have to connect directly to the ICV6 module and, get off your house Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff, so I wouldn't try it. Keep in mind, there's only one time you touch this controller. That's it. After you hit that controller, it gives you the option to sync it with your network, put in your password, and that's it. At that point, you are talking from phone to the Maxspect Gyres. What you do from there is up to you. Now, I don't want to drag this video out too long, but let me tell you guys this. The app gives you full functionality of the Gyre controller. So you can actually set it to run all the pre-programmed modes, or you can customize it to run the 24 set points to where you can completely, change your flow to your liking to whatever you want. And it responds super quick. Literally 1 to 2 seconds, you hit save, your gyres are running whatever you set them to. So if you guys want more details on this, or if you want a specific flow pattern or want more details on my flow patterns, Drop a comment down below and I'll definitely do my best to cover it in a future video for you. As I compare these gyres to my previous experiences, I used the 130 on the JBJ45, the 230s on my 120 gallon tank, and now the 330 on this system. I don't remember the magnets sticking to the glass like this. They have done some kind of modification to where it's damn near like a suction cup. It does not fall off on its own. You can tap it, bang it, do whatever you want to do. It literally sticks to the glass. So I didn't really realize the benefit of this until I started thinking. If you got kids that touch stuff, or you got a situation where you actually bump a magnet off and your gyro fall in your tank, this completely prevents that. Now, of course, nothing's 100% foolproof, but it definitely helps. Now, the second thing I want to mention is going to be the flow diverters. This has got to be one of the best improvements that I've seen on this gyre. I literally can run these pumps right at the water surface, not getting any of the water, air getting sucked in, or any kind of bubbles or anything like that. And I feel like the higher I can run it to the water surface, the better I can avoid it hitting corals, and the more I can get these pumps out of sight as far as looking at the tank. So major improvements. I'm definitely digging it. I'm really liking the way it looks. So let me give you guys a quick look at the flow on these gyres. It's going to be 100% power both on at the same time. They're rated for 2,400 gallons each, so that is a bunch of flow for this 3-foot tank. Now I gotta admit to you guys, it looks like water's moving crazy in the system, but in person, it doesn't feel like it's going as hard as it did on the 200 series. So I'm not sure if it's just a perspective type of thing or if I'm just comparing it to noise versus power. But for me, it doesn't feel like these are going to be too much. Now, am I going to run them at 100%? Of course not. Now, I'm going to let the corals tell me how high I can run these pumps. But as far as them being completely overpowering the system, I just don't feel like it is. So jury's still out. We'll definitely find out more once we have something in the tank that actually moves with the water. It's going to be a quick sound check. Everything is running on the tank. What you guys are hearing is going to be the skimmer, the water from the gyres, the water crashing over to the filter socks and the return pumps. Let's go ahead and kill everything else but the gyres. Everything turned off. Both gyres running at 100% constant mode. All you hear is water. Let me put the microphone up to the pump. Just a slight buzz. That's it. I don't know how these guys did it, but it took them 3 generations of gyre to figure out the sound issues, but I am thoroughly impressed. There is no doubt about it that these gyres are the quietest gyres ever created that I've used. Keep in mind, I've used the 130s, the 230s, and now the 330s. I've used all generations, and they have finally fixed the Achilles heel of the gyres. Definitely something worth noting, definitely something worth sharing. And hopefully it clears up any confusion for anyone that was wondering how loud these gyres were. So the last question I want to answer is why the gyre? A multitude of reasons, guys, but ultimately it comes down to what I'm comfortable with. So much experience with these, I fully understand how this flow works with the aquascapes I like to make, with the coral placement I want, and actually being able to have variable flow. Having flow from one direction, switch to another direction, and I just love the way they flow, to be honest. But if there was no gyre in the mix and I had to choose between the Nero pump and the MP10, I would have went with the MP10, mainly because I have a WXM module. They're known about, they've been refined, and I try to stay away from first generation pumps. Lesson being learned with the Gyre 130. There's no comparison between the first generation and the third generation. So for all of those that have each of these types of pumps, no knock to you. Hey, to each his own. And I know everyone has had success and fantastic tanks with all three kinds. So with that being said, let's get out of here. As always, you guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy. Happy reefing.